Throughout history, Americans have sought out military leaders to serve as president. And no matter how they rank as presidents, the military hero always has a secure place in the American pantheon. Such a man was Zachary Taylor, 12th President of the United States. Zachary Taylor was born in Virginia, son of a Revolutionary War veteran. As a soldier, they called him Old Rough and Ready, and he led his men into battle riding side saddle on his horse, Old Whitey. Taylor performed brilliantly during the Mexican War, winning a string of battles. The public saw Taylor as the hero of the Mexican War. The Whig Party saw him as a presidential candidate. Presidential historian Henry Graff.
People in America are like people all over the world. They make heroes out of their military victors. And somehow these men have been washed in the blood of the youth. They've been sanctified. If you've been in battle and win, you become fully credentialized as a leader.
Taylor won a close election and became the only president in history who had been a soldier and nothing but a soldier. Slavery, ignored during the campaign, confronted Taylor head-on as he took office. The controversy over extending slavery to newly acquired territory was bitter and growing ever more tense. Though a slaveholder himself, Taylor took a principled stand. He insisted that California enter the Union as a free state. Congressional leaders, led by the respected Henry Clay, sought compromise. Months of debate followed. Some consider it among the greatest and most impassioned debates in our government's history. President Taylor held firm. He rejected all compromise plans, but he would not live to see the end of the debate. On the 4th of July, 1850, Taylor attended ceremonies as the cornerstone was laid at the Washington Monument. It was a blistering, hot day. The 65-year-old president took ill and never recovered. 5 days later, he was dead, just 16 months into his term.
1949 to 1850, 64 years old, from Louisiana. Despite outward appearances, he was really a Washington insider. His Army position had been arranged by his second cousin, James Madison. Zachary Taylor was a celebrity, a Mexican war hero who'd helped to win over 500,000 square miles of new land for the nation. He was also a political unknown.
Zachary Taylor was someone who was not seeking the presidency. Both parties came to him and wanted him to be their candidate.
As a war hero, he appealed to the North. As a Louisiana landowner and slaveholder, he appealed to the South. He had no obvious agenda, but in the end, he would surprise them all.
There's something about Zachary Taylor.
By the Missouri Compromise was starting to crumble.
Well, when Zachary Taylor came into office, the country was facing a serious crisis over the question of the expansion of slavery.
If I had to pick out a prototypical pre-Civil War American, I certainly would pick Old Rough and Ready.
Taylor's nom de guerre, Old Rough and Ready, was as much a tribute to his fighting spirit as it was for his slovenly appearance. He had none of the polish of a professional politician and was not a great communicator. Taylor had never registered to vote and didn't even vote in his own election. Robert E. Lee was his fourth cousin once removed, and Jefferson Davis had been his son-in-law. As president, Taylor deferred to others, going so far as to declare he would not exercise his veto power.
Taylor didn't really see the presidency as a very powerful office, and he He was actually strongly influenced by members of his cabinet and by certain members of Congress.
He did say that he believed that the slavery issue should be decided by Congress, and Congress would be the ruling body, and that he would go along with whatever Congress proposed.
The slavery debate was beginning to get ugly. The fragile peace between North and South, established 30 years earlier,
Slavery into new Western territory.
On one side, Southern extremists were threatening secession if Congress didn't rule in their favor. On the other side, the clamor of Northern abolitionists was growing louder. In response, Senator Henry Clay created the Compromise of 1850, a bundle of bills designed to link the admission of California as a free state with some slavery measures favorable to the South.
So this was a kind of package that Clay put before the Congress, giving some concessions to the slave states and some concessions to the free states, which he hoped would go through and satisfy everybody.
But the compromise didn't satisfy some people, including President Taylor.
Taylor surprised a lot of people. He thought there was nothing to compromise about. He said, look, California should be admitted as a free state, and that's it.
Taking back his promise, Taylor threatened to veto the compromise.
Taylor insisted on going ahead, even at the risk of provoking Southern state secession.
Taylor's solution for the secessionists was somewhat simplistic.
I'll hang him. And I might start with my son-in-law, Jefferson Davis, who was a senator from Mississippi at that time.
I think his best moment was simply affirming the integrity of the nation in response to threats of disunion that were coming from the South as the controversy over the Compromise of 1850 intensified.
Barely a year into his administration, Taylor was evolving into an ardent Unionist. On a hot 4th of July in 1850, Taylor took a break from the political infighting to preside over a groundbreaking ceremony for the Washington Monument. Scorched by the summer sun, Taylor sought relief with a pitcher of milk and a bowl of cherries. Within hours, he complained of severe stomach pain.
There are people who were proposing that he was actually poisoned by arsenic, that there was this conspiracy to get rid of him.
Taylor died 5 days later. Most believed he succumbed to gastroenteritis, an inflammation of the intestines. But there were lingering suspicions of foul play. It would take more than a century before anyone would know for certain. In 1991, an historian convinced Taylor's descendants to allow his body to be exhumed. Forensic analysis revealed no signs of foul play. Instead, they determined that a form of cholera was the most likely cause of Taylor's death.
As far as I'm concerned, he definitively was not poisoned with arsenic.
Where Taylor might have taken the country is a mystery, but it would soon move in an entirely different direction when Taylor's vice president assumed the presidency.